Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. Ding dong, the witch is dead. I'm Adrian Ford.
And I'm Dalton Gentry. Feel good about yourself now, don't you?
It's kind of like getting out of prison.
Yeah? Well, you had a 3-year sentence.
Yeah.
You changed a little on the inside.
Did some time.
You did a little time. You learned some things.
Got some tattoos.
Yeah.
And developed a steady hatred for people. Is that what people do in prison?
It's pretty much a prison sentence. I mean, you just wake up and every day it's going to be the same thing. Nothing's going to change.
And I'll have no marketable skills.
It's going to be disappointing.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be the same thing. Speaking of disappointing, we are at the epilogue of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the last bit of Harry Potter reading. We will have a full overall review of the Harry Potter series, basically just a discussion.
I will take exception with one thing that you just said. You said the last bit of Harry Potter. I would call it the last 2 bits.
2 bits?
That's all it is, 2 bits.
2 bits? Well, it was catchy at least. But this is it. We are done reading Harry Potter. There is no more. It is dead. And I don't know what we're going to talk about because this epilogue is just hot fan service.
You said you wanted it as a separate video. You said other people wanted it as a separate video.
Okay, so the epilogue, one of 2 ways. People either really, really, really loved it because they wanted that. They wanted to see how the characters developed forward, where they'd be in the future. And then you had the other group of people who's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, see, so you mentioned fan service. There's nothing inherently wrong with fan service.
Okay.
Especially after, I mean, what do we look? We're probably looking at 3,000 pages, you think?
At least.
About 3,000 pages, a little 10-page fan service bit. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. Fan service, however, includes a payoff. Stan Lee cameos in Marvel comic movies. They are fan service. The payoff is that they're always different. The prime payoff in that movie series was that he was, after all, an informant to the Watchers. So all those different Stan Lee cameos were the same guy. That's an ultimate type of fan service.
Okay.
This does nothing. This, you learn some names. You learn that they've named their children after people. You learn that Harry Potter is every bit as weird and distant a godfather as Sirius had been.
Yeah. Harry marries Ginny, Ron marries Hermione.
Yeah, which you see coming for 4 books.
Yeah.
There are no surprises there. The one thing that is, or should be, supremely disappointing, if you are on my side of this sort of JK wants to have it both ways for herself, which it seems like now more people are, because she's retrofitting things. But she wants to claim inclusivity. She wants to claim having created a world in which the good guys win, but ultimately at the end of this, that weird sort of tribalism that separates the Slytherins from real people still exists.
It does. It does.
It's been perpetuated.
And I think she was trying to put a nice, pretty bow on it at the end there, saying, it doesn't matter if you're a Gryffindor or a Slytherin. You're named after, 2 great heads of Hogwarts. One was a Gryffindor, one was a Slytherin. So there was an attempt there. I think she was trying to get it nice and pretty and wrapped up, and, it's all beautiful and harmonious now. But it's not.
No, you slapped that right. In fact, you slapped that in the face before. Because the little thing with, which one was it?
Albus Severus.
Yeah, Albus Severus. That was like the very last part, right?
Right towards the end.
Yeah, whereas the part where they were stalking Draco was before that, was the middle of that little chapter. So you introduce the idea of the tribalism by saying, yeah, no, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
And then you want to retrofit it in the very same chapter as, no, that's not what it means.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could look at it almost a generational thing, where, the Harry Potter generation still has that inherent, Gryffindor versus Slytherin, and that's what we're getting from the parents, but they're trying to pass on something better to their kids.
But they're not particularly. And if they were, this would have been the time to do so. Instead, you've got all these, you have their kids recognizing the difference, right? Albus Severus is afraid that he will be Slytherin. Because it's already been instilled in the other ones that you don't want to be Slytherin.
Interesting. Now, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which was the play that received J.K. Rowling's blessing.
Oh, Jesus
therefore
Christ. We don't have to read that, do
canon.
we?
We don't have to read that, but that's basically where this starts. Or where that
first day?
starts. Yeah.
That
it goes
Albus
from there,
Severus's first day of school?
pretty much. So it's basically a new generation of Potter.
New
I mean, if you
generation.
want, we could read it. I have copies.
We may have to eventually, just if I get the urge to tear something apart
We'll
again.
perform it.
If I need to destroy something.
You'd make a great Albus Severus. I do think you brought up something interesting here where Harry is the aloof godfather that Sirius once was. Because we do get Teddy Lupin, and not a lot going on there. I think that could have been a very interesting character.
Yeah, he has inherited Ginny's reputation as a snoggler.
A snoggler?
What is it called?
Snogger.
Snogger?
Yeah.
As the Snogger Supreme.
I like the L in there, though. Snoggler.
Snoggler sounds a lot more cutesy and playful than Snogger.
That's fair. That's fair.
Snogger sounds like somebody from the 70s saying, give her a good bone.
That's fair.
Yeah, that went somewhere weird, didn't
It
it?
did go weird. I wasn't expecting that, so
That's
I
how it
had my
sounds,
blank.
though,
I'm
isn't
like,
it? That's how it sounds, though,
it
isn't
does. It does.
How, in one of those movies that your dad always wanted you to watch, there was somebody in there that says, hey, you got a snogger. You know what I mean? It's one of those 70s terms for real hard effing in the A.
You're just rolling today, aren't you?
Yeah.
Look at you go.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
And I again think Teddy Lupin would have been a very interesting character. If we were going to drag this out a little further, I would love to hear about that. Because you have a
Love to
child.
hear about what? Some hardcore snogging?
Just Teddy Lupin in general,
okay.
thank you. But I know we have a character whose parents both died in war. He's a child of war. He would be an interesting character. It's definitely a lot to come back from. Very similar to Harry Potter, if you would. But we get nothing of that. We're more focused on the fact we're like, oh, look, it's the Weasley children, Hugo and Rose. How lovely.
And we have Teddy over every week, you know.
Yeah, he's there, but,
Maybe he could live with us. Where's he living at this point?
it's not really said.
What does Harry Potter do for a living?
Harry Potter is an Auror. He grew up
So
to
he
be
became an Auror? Okay.
Yeah. And we did get a little bit of
So what the hell do Aurors do in a post-Moldavort world?
paperwork. It's bureaucracy at its
You
finest.
must work in a cubicle.
Yeah, I'd like to imagine so. We do get a little
I
tip.
imagine grown Harry Potter looks a lot like John Oliver.
Oh my god. So they filmed this for the movies, and they actually used the actors, and they just aged them, theatrically. Yeah, he does look like John Oliver. It's uncomfortable.
I imagine that's like 80% of the white British male population looks just like John Oliver.
Yeah.
In my mind, England is just a lot of John Olivers walking down the street.
I'd like to hope so. We should go visit England and just randomly go up to people and be like, are you John Oliver?
John Oliver and John Oliver with long hair.
And when they say no, just turn to the next guy and be like,
John Oliver? I came here to meet you.
But anyway, we do get a little tidbit here that Neville has gone on to be the professor of herbology at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So we even do get a little throw to Neville there. But I don't think this epilogue capitalized the way it should have. I think it could have been something a lot more. It could have given people what they wanted, but developed things a lot more. And I mean, honestly, if this is a 7-book series, why are you putting it to rest? Where's that little flair at the end? That Hollywood-esque, hand shooting out of the grave and Carrie. Where is that? There's nothing. At the end, we just get, well, my scar just hasn't hurt since.
Yeah, what's the exact line? The exact line is very disappointing.
It's not a good line to end your 7-book series on.
Oh, no, I went to the wrong chapter there. Tried to end the book
The
early.
scar had not pained Harry for 19 years.
All was well. Yeah, all was well. That's how you want to do things. All was well. Well, congratulations. You found the absolute worst line with which to end 3,000 pages of writing.
Yeah.
All was well.
Yeah.
It doesn't set you up for another sequel, but the idea of the scar being implanted in your reader's mind does not preclude that, right? Because from this going forward, very easily, the next thing that could happen is that prickling in his forehead.
Yeah. And that would have been a little bit of something. Like, for the first time in 19 years, that scar
Yeah.
just had a little tingle. It could have been something. It would have been adding to this a little bit of suspense, but you are correct. All we got was all was well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit of a fizzle. Not really sure where to go with that. But it's over.
Yeah,
We're
it's
done.
over. There's no... So you don't have to end this with suspense,
Okay.
but you should end it with something.
Something.
This is basically the biggest nothing I've ever read. The world went on as it always had been, and the characters with which you had fallen in love over the previous 3,000 pages of writing live boring lives.
Yeah. They shuffled off into obscurity.
Yeah.
There were no more adventures.
No one recognizes Harry Potter at the... Well, there's one kid gasps or something, right, on the train. But how is it that Harry Potter's kids don't know he's famous?
Fair. And this is the man the boy who lived.
Yeah.
Who received all this fame and credit for nothing. Who literally saved the world. Fought the good fight, killed the big bad. And nobody knows about it. I get that. That's a little disappointing.
Yet nobody even cares to see him.
Ron goes to bed at 8:30, usually falls asleep in the chair after eating his TV dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Hermione has been ultimately wasted. She seems like a good little housewife. Ginny, much the same. You know what I mean? Like, not that we're given the fact, they go home and cook for their husbands every night. I don't mean that. But neither of them...
There's no spice.
Those two stood to be the most outstanding characters in the series. They were ultimately wasted in the literature. Mightn't J.K. Rowling have realized that before appending on this last addendum and said, you know what? Maybe Hermione went on to found her own school. Maybe Hermione went on to be she's the professor, not Neville. She's the, what was Diddledor's title?
Headmaster?
She becomes the headmaster, right?
What if Hermione couldn't cope? The adventure was done and she just couldn't handle it. Shit got bad.
Became a drug addict, a
Been bad
herbologist
night.
addict.
A herbologist addict. Just loves the gilly weed.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there. It just seems very vanilla. It seems like they've drifted
That would have
off
been
into obscurity.
awesome if Hermione can only be found at Hogsmeade now. She's an alcoholic. That would have been a hell of a turn.
It would have been something. And again, this is young adult literature. You can't.
You know what
have
would have been
that.
awesome?
What's that?
That scar on Harry Potter's forehead starts prickling. And what color is the evil people's magic?
I think in the movie it's green.
All of a sudden, Hermione's walking away and he notices her hands sparkling green or something.
Flash of green light.
Yeah.
Hermione becomes the big bad.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great?
It would have been. And there would have been options. And, granted, I get it. A writer who's written 3,000 pages, a 7-book series, it's time to put it to rest. It's done. It's over. But it could have been something more. And I think that's where people found the disappointment in the epilogue. That good look forward, it kind of makes you feel good. It feels everything's wrapped up. You get that taste of what came next. But there really is nothing. And for the people who wanted something at the end, there is absolutely nothing. And it just seems like a wasted chapter that takes away from the overall novel.
Well, I will disagree ever so slightly. Since I finished reading the series, I've made a point to go back and read some of the comments from Harry Potter.
Okay.
Including that penultimate video in the Harry Potter series where somebody called us cunts.
That was a good one.
I got back at him a little bit, and he deserved it. But anyone who's dumb enough to have invested willingly 3,000 pages of reading in this series did not want this to end.
Okay.
Anyone dumb enough to enjoy Harry Potter wanted more Harry Potter.
Just going for it today, aren't you?
Anyone who's stupid enough to have enjoyed this wanted more stupid and pointless enjoyment.
Even if you didn't enjoy this, that little bit at the end that would have, made it a good wrap-up, a good conclusion, would have been appreciated.
I'd have been fine with a nuke going off and all of them are lost forever.
The train exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of magic.
It's not. Well, that's a good point. We're looking at a magical universe, magical
Any
world.
dullard who wanted more Harry Potter, wanted a good ending to this, didn't deserve it. See, this is the last time I'm going to get to do this, so I got to get some of it out.
Got to get it out?
I got to
Just
get some
out
of it
your
out.
system?
I've been very good the past couple books.
Okay. I imagine, like...
I've been very good not attacking the past couple books.
I like to hope 3 months from now you're just going to upload a random video, just be like, hey, Harry Potter still sucks.
100 Reasons Harry Potter Sucks.
Ooh, 100 Reasons.
It'll be a 3-hour variety hour.
I don't really know where to go from here. Like I said, we
100 Reasons Harry Potter Sucks.
Be the world's longest video. It's a little disappointing. It really is. Like, this is the last... Are you good? Feel better? Okay. So it is a little disappointing. I don't really know what we can really talk about more on here, because there really isn't much going on.
I think you said it right, moron.
Moron?
Yeah, you said it right. So you were one of those people who were dumb enough to enjoy Harry Potter.
I was.
How did you feel about this when you very first read it?
I didn't care for it.
You didn't care for it, or you were disappointed by it?
Well, even...
Because how old were you at the time? High school? Like very early high school?
I would say late high school, maybe even after high school.
Oh, wow, you were grown ass.
Yeah, this is 2007, so I would have been a junior in high school. But I do remember reading this particular novel. This came out, I actually was going on a camping trip the night it came out. And it rained, and we ended up all staying in a hotel. And I sat and finished the entire book that night and just ignored the party. Because this was it, man. I mean, this was my childhood. This was the last book. And even at that point, this ending felt just... It's cheesy. It's cheesy and bad. You get
really?
that...
Even as a junior in high school, you felt that?
Yeah. You get that big wrap-up, it's finally over, Voldemort's defeated, and then you jump forward for 19 years and we just get garbage. I don't care that Harry Potter became an Auror. I mean, the novel's over. He's not a real person. He's a character in a novel. Let's wrap it up at the end of the story. Instead, this feels honestly like fan service. It feels like fan fiction that somebody just plugged at the end.
There's a key distinction. It does not feel like fan service.
It feels like fan fiction. It really does. There's nothing going on. I mean, they're sending the kids off to school. Oh boy. The reader could have inferred that eventually these people would have kids and move on with life.
Yeah.
But instead, J.K. Rowling decided she needed to, beat that over the head of her audience. I wasn't impressed with the ending. I'm still not.
So, wait a minute. Albus Severus is one of Harry's kids' names. What
Correct.
are the others?
I believe Lily and James.
Lily and... Yeah, you're right. So Harry Potter named all of his children.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ginny is a good housewife, huh?
Well, I guess her opinion doesn't matter in the
No.
19 years forward universe.
Why? She's just
important.
a woman?
Not important. On the other hand, though, I'd like to imagine that Hermione named both the children because we have Hugo and Rose. I don't think Ron is about the Hugo and Rose life.
Yeah. I'd be interested in a follow-up to this where Harry and Hermione cheat on their significant others with each other.
Oh my. That is going the fan fiction route.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting that if you want to go choices of names, there's always the idea of honoring, the dead by, naming the children after them.
But all of the dead are from Harry Potter.
All the dead are from Harry Potter. Yeah. Like, well, this is my dead family, and these are my dead friends who were important to me, and every time I see my kids, I will remember their painful deaths, which I basically caused.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. I'm very disappointed we didn't have a young Voldemort. Like little Voldy.
What do you mean?
Like
he hadn't fathered a child?
No, like somebody like old Draco decided to name his kid Voldemort just to be that jackass.
Oh, what did
Scorpius?
Scorpius. I did like that name. That was an interesting name.
Okay.
As
much as this is a magical fantasy series, I think this is a good way of putting it. The end does not feel like a magical fantasy ending.
No,
it feels
the exact
mundane
opposite.
And awful.
That's prime stomping grounds for criticism with the ending, is that Harry Potter retired to a cubicle.
Yeah. And when you're writing fantasy literature, a big part of that is world building. You have to create a believable physical world. And this is a magical world we've been presented. And granted, they're shuffling the kids off to Hogwarts again, but it is mundane and it's boring. This feels like a Tuesday after work. Well, we got to go drop the kids off. Oh boy.
So J.K. Rowling set herself up for that with the fact that this series traipsed between two worlds, a real one and the world-built world.
Okay.
The ending is exclusively in the mundane, though.
It is.
We don't see... How is it that Neville is the only character from that group with a connection to Hogwarts still? Neville's the only one that I would have... forecasted from the ending of the series not to be involved in some way with either the Ministry or the Hogwarts.
Well, it really feels like everybody just grew up to become government employees.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
let's work for the state.
Yeah, in that how...
I mean, maybe that's a good thing in England, I don't know.
Well, it's a good thing here. I mean, it's a very solid job. It's a very... you get good benefits.
Yeah.
Sometimes they send you on trips. Not with your experience. I'm just saying.
From my personal experience, that was awful.
Right. So, but here's the thing. You worked law enforcement.
Yes.
Which is...
An Auror.
Well, but it's lower class.
It's a lower
class government job.
True.
Like I'm not trying to. I want to make it very clear. I'm not placing judgment. Police officers don't make a lot of money.
True.
Anyone in law enforcement doesn't make a lot of money. When you go, like in Kansas City, when you work for the state, you go to the Kansas City municipal building to work. That is no longer lower class. You were white collar at that point.
Okay, that's a fair statement.
So what feels like has happened here is everyone grew up to be white collar, which is interesting in several regards. One, if you wanted to pick this fight, it would be very easy to use Harry Potter as a white privilege text.
Okay.
The remarkable and the unremarkable alike seem to be white collar at the end here, don't they? Sending their children off to a private school in the very same fashion.
That's fair. Working their good jobs, clean cut.
Right. Also, I lost that other thought.
I think, like, what it's missing, and, like, again, it's hard to do with young adult literature because, you know, you want everybody to grow up. It's the fairy tale. Everybody live happily ever after. But where's the sleaze that makes it real? Where is Luna Lovegood homeless selling, you know, crazy glasses over in the corner because she just couldn't cope?
Muggles.
To muggles.
Yeah, she's reading tarot cards.
That's what adds to the series. That's what adds to spice. But it's a fairy tale at this point because everything's happily ever after.
Right.
That's really what we got here. Anything else you'd like to say about the epilogue here? I really don't think we can draw much more from it.
No.
Okay. So we will be back next week with the last video of Adrian Reads Harry Potter. The last.
No, so we're doing the wrap-up for Deathly Hallows next week.
Oh, we're going to do wrap-up and then a full series?
Full series wrap-up.
Oh, okay. We're going to do that.
Yeah, I think that'll work better. That way I don't have to put all the gripes for everything combined into the Deathly Hallows.
And I would like to point out that if you still haven't at this point, looking back to last week's video, we had a bit of an announcement for what Adrian will read next. Make sure you take the time to comment on that, comment on Twitter and Instagram, put your vote in, so we can continue forward with a new piece of pop fiction.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right. If you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Give this video a like as well, as we always appreciate it. And we thank you for joining us through a 3-year journey of Harry Potter as we finally finished up the reading. And if you'd like to help us create more great content like this here on Strip Cover Lit, there's a link, as always, to our Patreon to be found in the description below.